Hello and welcome to Waylander's Wandering. I'd like to start off by hoping that everyone who wanted to get Warhammer 40,000 10th edition Leviathan box managed to pre-order one, and I hope that you all actually used my affiliate code for Mighty Lancer Games. But without further ado, let's crack on, and today I'm going to be showing you how I painted my Adeptus Arbites 4-kill team. So first off, I think we're going to do the miniatures undersuit, these fatigues. And we'll start off with a big old blob of Vallejo Express Colour Omega Blue to get that done. And as you can see, I've primed these in black and given them a dusting of matte white, both from the Colour Forge to get that going, and I've given his face a quick going over with pallid witch flesh just to give it a base for something to go over later. But let's crack on picking out these details, and there really isn't that much. There's essentially anything that's poking out of his armour, so that's nice and easy to take a look at. So I'm using a army painted character brush because it's a decent size for this kind of job without being so big and unwieldy you can't get into the detail. So there we go, we've got the bit on his belly there. Now we have a little behind the knee pads and above those greaves. Trying not to get too much paint on his actual body armour. Above his thighs there. What else have we? We'll try and get a little line in here around the cod piece and the thigh armour. If anybody knows the proper name for thigh armour, please let me know in the comments down below, because I have no idea. And of course, on his butt. So I will get all this blue on and allow it to cure and bring you in when we begin the next step. With the fatigue uniform nicely covered and dry, it's time to move on to the next stage, which will be a Citadel Colour Contrast Black Legion of all the hard armour areas. So this will be the chest plate, helm, leg armour, backs of the gloves, etc. Now we want to be a bit more careful here and not get any on our undersuit, because, well, it's definitely moving on to painting the bump to tidy things up time. So being nice and careful and straight from the pot, we will put the Black Legion all over everywhere. And here we have one of those little nooks and crannies placed. These miniatures, by the way, I mean, I'm all for miniatures being detailed and beautiful detail, which these guys have, but they are 99% made out of horrible nooks and crannies that are a nightmare to get a brush into. So where do we sit, my beautiful viewers? Do we like overly detailed or heavily detailed stuff like this that is a bit more of a challenge to paint, or would you prefer, at least as far as rank and file troops are concerned, something a little simpler so that you can paint them a little quicker and get your guys on the battlefield? Answers in the comments down below. By the way, I'd prefer a little bit less detail, probably. If you disagree, feel free to tell me again in the comments down below. So I will paint all this black stuff. You will leave me a nice comment telling me what you think of highly detailed miniatures. And we'll meet up again when it's time to paint the leatherwork. Now that the armour on our Arbites is finished, it's time to go in and go over and do the leatherwork, which will be gloves, boots, belts, pistol holsters, etc. And whilst we're here, how can I put it? Yes, as I was talking about detail before, there are places on this where I'm a fairly big advocate of, if I can't get a brush in, there's no need to paint it because you probably can't see it. Unfortunately on this, there are places where it's really difficult to get a brush in and you can definitely see it. Half the time I've spent painting this guy has been the, how do I get a brush through this maze to paint that bit, for instance, or whatever, this bit, without getting paint on another area. So that was fun. I honestly think that these highly detailed miniatures are going to be a little bit off-putting for the new hobbyist, but there you go. Anyway, we will be using Vallejo Express Colour Black Lotus, which is a sort of indigo, very dark indigo black for the leather areas. As you can see it on the palette there, it's a very dark colour, but when we come in and we'll do the boots, put it on very thick because we want the effect. You can see it is less a black, more very dark indigo, but it does dry very nicely and give just the effect we're looking for these kind of areas. So literally splashing it on and not worrying about pooling too much. And there is one thing I'd like to add about these express colours, is you get a little bit more working time on these express colours than you do on the Citadel Contrast and even the Army Painter Speed Paints. I haven't used Dipping Inks or any of the other contrast style paints, but I do find that you get a little bit of extra working time with these, and if you're batch painting, they are slightly heavier, slightly thicker, I suppose is the best way to put it, than their other equivalents. So you can use a wet palette with them, which is nice. Anything that gives you more time to get your work done is favourable. And I'm painting the sort of leather holster for this shotgun in this indigo black as well, because it gives such a lovely effect. So I will carry on doing these leather bits and bring you guys back in for the start of the metalwork. Now that we have those leather parts finished, and I'm sure if you can see it clearly, you'll agree that Black Lotus worked particularly well for leathers and things, and looks great on, well, all the leathers and things on this miniature. It's time to move on to the metallics, and for this I'm going to be using the Speed Paint 2.0 Speed Paint metallics from the Army Painter. I reviewed these previously. There should be a link somewhere hereabouts, and if not here, probably in the pinned comment. And let's get going. I'm using enchanted steel, by the way, if I didn't mention it before. So we get a couple of drops on here, and as we can see, it's a dark gunmetal type silver, and we're going to put this on anything that we want to be gunmetal silver. So we'll start with things like the gun barrel, and there won't be a lot of this obviously, because this kind of miniature doesn't have a super large amount of metallic parts, but we will do our best to get the paint on and see if we can get it to look purry. These new speed paints, by the way, do go on very well. They are quite thin, runny, so I would definitely not suggest putting them anywhere near something like a wet palette. And no, to be honest, I don't want metallic flakes to be contaminating my wet palette anyway, so I wouldn't go that way, I don't think. But we'll get this on here. Be very careful not to get it anywhere we don't want it, because we are definitely coming up to places where fixing mistakes is more of a pain in the bum than it's worth. It does go on very smoothly and seems to cover both the pale and dark areas of the priming, and obviously bits where I've overpainted very well. So I will faff about with this and bring you back in when it's dried, and it's time to move on to our other metallic, which will be a gold. Okay, that is the sort of gunmetal silver done, and I do like the kind of dull gunmetal effect finish that it leaves. It is very effective. But next up for the metallics is golden armor, again speed point 2.0 metallic, and we will get the more detail gold bits, you know, eagles and that, them being imperials, with this, starting off with, of course, the eagle on his belt buckle. So we're now getting onto the super fine bits, and of course we've got this winged fist, the Arbites shoulder pad, and there will be an eagle on the weapons as well. But I will do this and then bring it back in to inform you of the kind of final stages, because we're very close to finishing here. Okay, as you can see now, the goldy bits are done, such as the eagles there, and the thing on his shoulder, on his gun, and on the pistol there. There might be another one somewhere else around the, there we go, another little fist thing around the back. Now it's time to do the detailed bits. Running through the interior of the lens on the visor is going to be Citadel Colour Technical Tesseract Glow. His right shoulder pad and other detailed bits of his weapon are going to be Vallejo Express Colour Velvet Red. His skin is going to be Vallejo Express Colour Dwarf Skin. Any wooden bits, of which there are none on this particular miniature, but there are on the rest of the squad. So the wooden bits will be done with Gorgrunt fur. The ribbons on any purity seals and oaths of moment, such as the one, where is it? It's one on this miniature. Again, not on this miniature, so we can put that aside. Will be, of course, a skeleton horde, and the wax seals on those will be done in a Major's purple, and all wires and things I'm going to do with contrast Imperial Fist, just because it pops a little against these very, very dark miniatures. So we'll start with the Imperial Fist and come in, and we have a cable across the shoulder here. A little bit more paint, and another cable on this transmitter radio unit on his back. Quick spin around the miniature. There don't appear to be any more. Oh, by the way, I think that golden armour covers better than the thick old Retributor armour from Citadel. So there we go. That's something to look forward to. Definitely recommend that one. Now we'll go in with the red, and we'll put this quite heavily, running from top to bottom on this shoulder pad. Quick clean of the brush, and wick up any excess pooling, which should give us a nice rich red, but it will look like a little bit of wear and tear on the shoulder pad when it dries. So all the parts of the pistol that haven't already been painted with the gold or silver, and I will whiz around the rest of the miniature, which pretty much is just his face. Bring you guys in when everything's dried, and we can talk about how we're going to base him. And with those final detail pieces done, our Adeptus Arbites is pretty much complete. All that remains is a decal on this shoulder pad and a decal on the chest plate here, and the basing. For the basing, I will be using Citadel Technical Astrogranite debris to give a paved road effect, which I think will be suitable and appropriate for the Arbites. I'll probably edge highlight across the armour to make it pop a little, and I think I will be using Citadel Layered Dawnstone for that. We'll put that to one side. But first things first, I will actually go through the application of the decal with you. Now, first things first, I like to add a nice thin but even coat of Citadel Art Coat, the gloss varnish, brush on gloss varnish, to any areas I'm putting decals on. This gives a nice smooth even surface, and that little bit of shine and the hardness of the art coat will allow your decals a little bit more room to move. A little bit on the chest where the other decal is going to go, and we'll leave that a moment to dry while we get our decals. So I'm going to be using two of these decals, which will be one of these Exaction Squad markings for the shoulder pad, and this tiny one here that you can barely see that says K9 because, well, he's the dog boy. So we'll get in and we will remove the larger decal using a scalpel to remove it from the sheet. That out of the way. Now if we take a set of reverse action tweezers, which when they're released are closed, squeeze them to open them, we can use that to hold the decal. And the best thing to apply them with are micro set and micro sol from Microscale Industries, and I've numbered them 1 and 2 so that we know which order to use them in. So the first things first, we will take our micro set, which is the blue one, dip the transfer in and let it rest on our tabletop for a minute. Take a clean brush and layer a little on the area that we're going to apply the decal to, which will give us a surface for it to squidge about on. And what Microset does is on these curved surfaces, such as his shoulder pad, will allow the decal to slide about, and because it's a softener, it will allow the decal to adhere to the curved shape somewhat better. Now if you can see there, this corner and this top edge are lifted, so we'll gently brush it down with our brush that is not sopping but at least has a little microset on it. Once we've got it kind of in position, we will take a cotton bud or something, but this needs to be damp but not again wet, and we'll gently push down these edges so that the decal begins to take the shape there. Once that is done, rinse the brush again, then take the Microsol, which is bottle number 2, the red one, and give this a fairly generous all over coating over the entire decal, which will dissolve the backing paper so it won't leave an edge, and will again help it to shape and adhere to the shape of the shoulder pad. And that's your lot. That's it. That's how you do it. Now I'm going to batch paint all the rest of these Arbites, and we'll have a look at them all in just 1 minute. So there we go. That's how I painted my Adeptus Arbites kill team, using a mixture of Army Painter Speed Paints, Vallejo Express Colour, Citadel Contrast. I do like the metallic and how they've got that kind of dull gunmetal sheen to them. These have had a coat of Colour Forge matte varnish on, which as you can see is deliciously matte. It mattes down the metallics so much and is kind of effective. Very pleased at how it all worked out. I think that the Express Colour Lotus Black has worked very well for the leather work. I hope you found, well, anything that I've shown in this video useful. I hope you found it entertaining as well. And I would definitely like to hear your thoughts on the level of detail on miniatures, because, you know, these guys are smaller than a paint pot and they've got all the details on. So many details. I mean, I like detail. I'm an experienced painter. I've been doing this for a long time now. But I definitely also think that this level of detail could possibly be off-putting for the less experienced painters. But there we go. If you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and leave me the comment down below. As mentioned before, all my paints and the miniatures themselves were purchased from the awesome Mighty Lancer Games down there in Bridlington, and of course, as usual, the QR code on screen will take you there, or indeed the link in the description down below. I think that's enough from me. I hope you managed to get your Leviathan box if you ordered one. And I love all your faces, and goodbye.